What's going on, Skye Squad? We are back in the building, and we got to do some talkerization about that good episode of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills from last night. Baby, let me tell you, this was probably one of the best episodes of all time. And your boy was hot. I was hot. I'm still hot thinking about everything that went on in last night's episode. But we're going to get into the doggone thing. We're going to talk about it. We had ERIKA last night giving some empty promises, okay? She had a lot to say about Sutton making all types of legal threats and such like that. It was crazy. We got to talk about who the real victims in this situation are. We also got to talk about who the real villains in this situation are, okay? And it ain't just Tom. All right, let me get into that. We got a super chat. It says, glad you're covering Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Great season so far. I love you, Richie. Thank you so much. Love you too. Buck wild. ERIKA went buck wild on your girl Sutton last night. Listen, chime down in the chatterization where you guys are watching from. Okay, shout out to Keely Williams for that promises. All right. We got Dallas, Texas in the house. England in the house. Hey. Cleveland, Ohio, I see you in the house. New Haven, Connecticut. Jersey's in the building. Who else we got up in here? Phoenix, Arizona, I see you. Solomon's Island, DC, Bridgeport, Connecticut, San Diego, Trinidad, Little Rock, Dominica. Hey, Cali, South Africa, St. Louis, I see you. Let's just get into this rendition of the scene as it was set for us in the beginning of this episode. Let's get into it. Just a little clip.
Calm down.
Y'all, I posted this to my Instagram earlier today. I saw it on Watch What Crappens Live, the Instagram account, and I just had to repost it. That moment where ERIKA took that breath and she was like this, Kathy had to tell her, no, don't do it. Don't do it, girl. Don't do it. Don't say nothing. Don't blow up on the people, because ERIKA was ready to blow up on all of them, okay? Let's get down to why. We start this episode at the dinner party at Kathy Hilton's house. Now, let's start right here. Let me ask y'all some questions. Kathy, girl, why would you sit ERIKA in betwixt Garcelle and Sutton? First of all, you already know that her and Garcelle have had an issue where Garcelle, who I believe was prompted by production to ask about, ERIKA, whether or not Tom was still calling ERIKA or whatever. And then Sutton, who she had already had a beef with from the last all cast get together. Why would you sit them beside each other at this dinner party if you really wanted it to go smoothly? I don't really understand that. So that was number one, but I understand producers probably did that. Producers probably said, no, girl, this seating arrangement right here, it ain't gonna work. We need something a little juicier. We're gonna sit ERIKA and Sutton beside each other so we can get them in the same camera shot so we don't have to work so hard when they get into it, because we know they're about to. All right. So ERIKA is hot on the heels of confronting Sutton, who actually had tried to have a private conversation with ERIKA in the last episode. Thank you so much for the super chat, boo. Who had tried to have a conversation with ERIKA in the last episode where they were still at the dinner party. And basically, ERIKA politely shut her down and told her, I don't want to hear anything that you have to say about me, because your opinion of me does not matter. So to me, for Sutton to even try to continue down that path of conversation would have been fruitless. But as we're going to see, Kyle and the rest of the ladies, mostly Kyle, thinks otherwise. She thinks that Sutton needs to be more honest with ERIKA, even though ERIKA has already told her, I don't want to hear nothing that you got to say about me. I blame Kyle for much of the stuff that was going on in this episode. And I want to point you guys to something that my girl, mainly Bravo, her name is Raven on Instagram, had posted earlier. And it says this: if throw the rock and hide your hand was a person. And the reason I'm posting this as well is because I feel like Kyle was the one who stirred up this whole situation by pretty much forcing Sutton to continue to be honest with ERIKA, even though ERIKA did not want to hear anything else that Sutton had to say. So why would Sutton continue to try to talk to her if she's already shut her down more than once? So Kyle is forcing, Sutton to come out and say everything. You've got to be honest, because this is what's happening here with Kyle. Kyle is a veteran at this reality TV game, right? We got another super chat who says Kyle is using Sutton as a scapegoat to ask the questions she wants answers to. Boom. Boom. They're all doing that. They're all using Sutton to get the real answers out of ERIKA. And they're using her because they know that ERIKA is going to explode on someone else and not them. And so then what they can do is they can look like the people that are on ERIKA's side. They can look like the people that are actually in the background rooting for ERIKA against the big bad Sutton with all of these questions that everybody else in America is asking based on the information that we are given on a daily basis from all of these news articles, and a lot of them, and some of them, most of them from credible sources like the LA Times. So for me, I just feel like Kyle did a lot of the dirty work in this episode. And again, she's a veteran at this, so she understands exactly how to position something to make somebody talk so she doesn't have to do the talking, so that she can come off looking like the good guy and like, oh, I did nothing. I did nothing wrong. I simply forced her to be honest because ERIKA's going to see it in the scene later. Well, to me, that is still up to Sutton as to whether or not she's able to talk to ERIKA. But, Kyle is not trying to hear that. So it gets ERIKA so riled up to the point that we start the episode with ERIKA turning to Sutton, okay? She turns to her dramatically and says, would you like to get sued? If you want to talk about someone else's health issues and you think that person isn't going to come after you, think again. So basically what it sounds like to me is that ERIKA is promising some type of lawsuit against Sutton by Tom. Okay, the same Tom who allegedly has the dementia. You think that this man is going to be, if he has dementia, as everybody is trying to lead us to believe, if this man has dementia, you think that he's going to have the wherewithal to be suing Sutton Strack for questioning ERIKA Jane about ERIKA Jane's lies? Because Sutton wasn't questioning whether or not necessarily Tom was sick. She's questioning the stories that ERIKA is providing them. And she's also looking at the information that is being provided in all of these articles, specifically the LA Times article that half the cast couldn't be bothered to read the entirety of, which I know I read for myself. Okay. So there we have that. Now, here's the thing. When we talk about this alleged dementia, okay, we talk about this alleged dementia from an alleged car accident 3 years ago, even though he had been allegedly stealing the money for decades. So how is it? None of that's making any sense to me. Okay, none of that's making any sense to me. So there's that. Next, so ERIKA says this: Sutton's in way over her head. It's not about me suing her. It's more about be careful of what you say about other people that aren't here. He ain't dead and gone, honey. Girl, she talking about you. She talking about the lies that, the alleged lies that you've been telling us, the stories that don't seem to add up and make sense. And it's so interesting to me that 2 or 3 episodes ago, Dorit was in the group saying that everything that she knew about ERIKA Jane was the diametric opposite of what she's finding out now. Don't that mean that the girl was lying to y'all? That's what it means to me, okay? That's what it means to me. She's been presenting a life that is not actually really how things were going. That in and of itself is a lie. Okay, but nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to talk about it. Okay. Anyway, the thing about this that's interesting is if Tom is capable of suing Sutton, let's just say that he was, then that would pretty much mean that this dementia defense don't really add up, because he would have to be mentally capable of doing so in order to sue her, right? Wouldn't that make sense to me? I mean, these are the questions that I feel like, is anybody asking these questions? How would he be able to sue her if he's got dementia? That would seem to be the last thing that would be on his mind. Okay. Anyway, so then surprisingly, Dorit decides that she has found her backbone today. And she's like, whoa. This sounds like some threats, girl. This sounds like some threats. And even Kyle is like, now, wait a minute now. I didn't think in my mind. This is what I think Kyle was thinking. I feel like Kyle was like, ooh, child, I didn't expect for her to start threatening lawsuits. I only wanted them to have an altercation to be good for the cameras. No, ERIKA, that's not what I was hoping you would do. I didn't hope you would go here, because now you are giving credence to the things that Sutton was actually worried about in the first place. And ERIKA doesn't seem to realize that, because all she wanted to do was shut Sutton up at this point in time. So whether or not she would sue her, because honestly, I don't think that she would be able to sue this woman for questioning whether or not the things that she's saying is true or not, when in fact we have been shown on the camera that the things that she has said have not been true. So with that being said, I just kind of feel like she got enough things going on in her life for her not to be trying to sue Sutton. She should be worried about some of these other lawsuits that are coming her way versus trying to think about whether or not she should sue Sutton. And let me just state this, because I understand that, there are people out there who are still very empathetic about ERIKA. And I understand. And they feel like, well, every time they have a dinner situation, it's always about ERIKA. But at the end of the day, sometimes ERIKA makes these situations bad for herself, because she is coming across. I mean, the way she is threatening Sutton at this point in time, she is sounding like she is trying to be some type of mob boss. And at the end of the day, this ain't Mob Wives. This is Beverly Hills Housewives. So, all of these threats and promises that she's apparently making, I just feel like, aren't really suitable for somebody who is trying to paint themselves to be, some sort of, victim as well in this situation. So you can't be the victim and the villain at the same time. You're going to have to pick a lane. And that's really going to be going into more of what PK has to say. But we ain't got there yet. We're going to get up in there. Okay. She basically tells Sutton, if you ever call me a liar again, I'm coming for you. Trust me. So Sutton is like, well, girl, what's she going to do? She going to put a horse head in my bedroom? What is she going to do? So Sutton is not having it no more. She is freaked out. And then she's like, no, I'm not dealing with this type of stuff. I'm not around this type of energy. I did not sign up for this show as a friend, because remember, she signed up. She was coming back on as a friend. She didn't know she was going to be put on as a main cast member until much later. So I'm sure she said to herself, y'all got me on this thing as a friend, and y'all want me to go through all of this? I'm out of here. Bye. So she gets up, she crying, and she leaving. And ERIKA's like, well, don't let the door hit you with the good Lord split you. So she's trying to kick the girl out of Kathy's home. She she good and well she don't live there. She can't be kicking nobody outside of their home. Anyway, Ruchi says, when ERIKA threatened to sue, I wish Sutton had said, can you afford it? Do you currently have the resources for that, ERIKA? Exactly. I'm like, girl, who are you going to sue? Who you going to sue? Okay. You need to be worried about these people trying to sue you. Okay. Meanwhile, at the end of the day, Kathy has to run out and go find, Sutton outside. Kathy's just worried about the souffle falling, and Garcelle and Kyle have to go run outside after Sutton. Now, when Kyle goes outside, which is surprising to me, because she goes outside to comfort Sutton after sort of trying to get ERIKA to realize that they can't be suing each other in this group, And if I think back correctly, I feel like there's some clause in the contracts that don't allow cast members to sue each other. So I don't really know. I'm assuming ERIKA was just like she was saying, talking about Tom potentially suing Sutton, because it couldn't be her. What I don't like is that Kyle comes running out and she's trying to console, Sutton after she just stirred the pot all the way up. Okay. Threw Sutton all the way under the bus. And Garcelle is like, girl, you were the one riling ERIKA up. And Kyle's like, well, no, I just wanted Sutton to be honest. Okay, girl. Okay, bye. Anyway, Kyle, they can't convince Sutton to stay. And to be quite honest with you, I would have left too. But I do agree with something that Kyle is going to say later. I really wish that Sutton would not let ERIKA run her off like that, because I do think that there is some value in Sutton standing her ground firmly when ERIKA is hurling these threats and promises her way. Because when Garcelle goes back inside and she tells, ERIKA that she totally freaked out on Sutton, ERIKA is showing zero remorse, and Lisa Rinna is going over to comfort ERIKA as if something had happened to her, okay? So then they toast or whatever, and the dinner is over. And I'm sure that Butler is like, girls, can y'all please leave this situation? Okay. Yes, I know this. I had seen this as well. So there had been reports, and I had heard this, and it was in a deleted scene, I believe, on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills BravoTV.com page. So that you guys, to give you guys even more information about why Sutton was asking these types of questions, is because Sutton had offered to give ERIKA money to help her before the Tom drama came out. So, I think that Sutton had said when she was going through her divorce, I think that she said somebody either offered or gave her money. So she was offering ERIKA the same thing because someone had done that for her, so that she would have some finances or something to use to manage herself, because oftentimes when people go through divorces, their finances can be caught up in a lot of litigation, sometimes so that they can't even touch their finances. So that's how how some people can end up bankrupt after having a divorce. I'm not sure of the exact logistics of it all, but this is something that did happen. So thank you, Elizabeth, for that. Thank you for the super chat, T Breezy. All those promises. Okay. So let's get back into it. So then the next day, Lisa Rinna goes over to Garcelle's house. Why? I don't know. I really don't know, because it's quite obvious that these two women just do not like each other. And I don't understand why they are still continuously trying to be friends. But you know what? Everybody got to film a scene. So here we are. So Garcelle has to remind Lisa Rinna of what happened the night before, because Lisa Rinna does not remember. She was too drunk to remember everything that had happened the night before, from her ringing that bell up in Sutton's face to the whole altercation with ERIKA Jane. You can't pay me to believe that Lisa Rinna don't remember what happened that night. I do not believe that for 1 second. Anyway, Garcelle has to remind her. Garcelle also tells her that she feels like an outsider in the group. Okay, now that's Captain Obvious, if you ask me, because it's always going to be Kyle, Lisa Rinna, and Dorit and ERIKA against, pretty much whatever else, except for now. Okay, now I think that whole cycle has been broken, because I want to point you guys to this bit of news tea right here. And we gotta wait and see what comes out though. So Radar Online is reporting, and I'm going to get to, everything that the Real Housewives franchise page had to say about this as well, was that ERIKA is reportedly no longer on speaking terms with Kyle and Dorit, and only speaks to Lisa Rinna from the cast. Now, this is coming from, again, Radar Online. And apparently she's shocked with how Kyle Richards has turned on her, and now realizes that the warning Lisa Vanderpump gave her about Kyle was true. The source also adds that ERIKA knows that Kyle has two faces, both literally and figuratively. And she feels that the hypocrisy from Dorit is outrageous. And they say this: all you have to do is Google Dorit's name and see what pops up there. Add her husband's name to the Google search and your jaw will drop. Okay. Now, the Real Housewives franchise page also gives this disclaimer, with Radar Online, I take this with a grain of salt. However, there has been a lack of social media interaction between ERIKA and Dorit and Kyle recently. And if ERIKA Jane's post on her IG stories about PK is anything to go by, I am sure Dorit will have some not so good feelings about what ERIKA Jane is saying about her husband. Okay. So that's going to be very interesting to watch as reunion plays out. And the reunion is set to film tomorrow. Okay. Just a little bit of tea for y'all. Now, After Garcelle tells, Lisa Rinna that she feels like she's on the outskirts of the group, she also tells Lisa Rinna that she feels like Lisa doesn't defend her. And she used the example about when ERIKA, went ballistic on Garcelle in Palm Springs. And she also uses the example of when Dorit came for her and called her a bully at Lisa Rinna's lip kit launch party or whatever. And so Lisa says this, she says that she feels like it wasn't her place to step in and defend Garcelle because she is loyal only to the truth. Okay. And that too is a little sketchy statement because she's only loyal to her truth. Okay. She's loyal to the truth when it is convenient for her. Because if she was loyal to the truth, she would be asking the same types of questions that Sutton is asking that the rest of the ladies have, and they're too scared to ask, so they're using Sutton as a scapegoat to ask all the questions, okay? If she was really loyal to the truth, that's what she would be doing, okay? But she ain't doing that right now. She on break this season. She on break this season because she backing up her friend, bottom line. Natalia says, I'm sick that Garcelle don't like to look like the angry black woman, but these women can keep mind games playing with her. Love your channel. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's another thing too. I feel like sometimes when I be wanting and this goes for Sutton too, I be wanting Garcelle and Sutton to really give it to these women, but I feel like Garcelle and Sutton are so new in this situation that they don't often realize that they too could stand up for themselves and each other in a way that would shut these women down. And I just feel like they don't do it enough. And somebody asked what ERIKA said about PK. Don't worry, I'm going to come back to that in a second when we talk about PK. Anyway, let's see here. Lisa Rinna also says that, well, because what happened was, if you guys recall, Lisa threw Garcelle a birthday, little dinner or whatever, and Harry, Lisa's husband, had made this pasta, and Garcelle loved the sauce. So apparently, Harry and Lisa brought Garcelle more of the sauce. Garcelle thanked her and Harry the day that they had the get together. She also thanked them in the moment when they brought her the sauce. So Lisa then says, well, since we're nitpicking about each other, you didn't text me to say thank you about the sauce. So what? The woman was supposed to thank you twice? She was supposed to say thank you in person, and then she was supposed to say thank you again via text message. I didn't know that was the protocol for saying thank you for something after you've already said thank you one time. How many times am I supposed to say thank you for bringing me some sauce? Okay, I thank you to your face. I got to thank you again. I got to write you a Post-it note. I got to write you a letter, an email, or correspondence. I got to send it via snail mail. What else do I have to do? It didn't make no sense. She's just trying to nitpick about something because Garcelle had her on the ropes with how she actually felt. You know what I'm saying? So versus simply saying, you know what, I'm sorry. And this is Lisa's thing. Well, I'm sorry you feel that way. That is so condescending. It's so condescending. I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm so sorry you feel that way. I'm so sorry you feel that way. BS. Meanwhile, Sutton is meeting Kyle down to the rich people jewelry store. Okay, they then brought in the jewelry and they having just a special showing for them. All types of Cartier and things. And this is why I like these types of shows. Show me jewelry, show me bangles, show me crystals, show me diamonds and stuff like that. I want opulence. I want it all. Give it to me. I want to feel like I'm living that type of lifestyle myself. Anyway, they looking around, blah, blah, blah. And of course, they got to talk about the other night. Now, Kyle is trying to reason with Sutton. Well, girl, I just wanted you to be honest or whatever. And Sutton's like, you talk too much, okay? You talk too much like Dorit. And I was trying to have a conversation with ERIKA. I didn't need you to continue to chime in about what my truth is according to you, okay? And she basically tells Kyle this. I mean, you're supposed to be my friend. And she does the little air quotes. And I feel like what Sutton was trying to say in that moment, and I could be wrong, but I feel like what she was trying to say was, you weren't acting like my friend that day. And so Kyle gets incensed because Sutton has used the air quotes in relation to her being a friend. And so she now is upset. And I feel like she just wanted something to be upset about so that Sutton, it could even out they anger. You know what I'm saying? Have you ever seen somebody do that? You be trying to tell them something that they did to you, And then they try to come back with something that you did to them. And you be like, well, no, can we discuss my issue first? Because that's the one that is pressing right now. We can talk about your issue later, but right now we're going to discuss the issue that I have with you. Okay. I felt like that's what Kyle was trying to do to her in that moment. But anyway, I do agree with one thing that Kyle said. Kyle said to Sutton that she was disappointed by how Sutton backed down so easily to ERIKA. And it's so interesting to me that Dorit calls Garcelle a bully for telling her in the moment that she talks too much, but she did not. No one is calling ERIKA a bully for the way that she treated Sutton. Very interesting. Anyway, I do agree with what Kyle said. Listen, Sutton, I'm gonna need you to. I know you on the island all by yourself, and you facing ERIKA and her scary fingers or whatever. But at the end of the day, Sutton, I'm gonna need you to not back down to this woman. And come reunion time, I'm gonna need you to have a very stiff backbone with anything that girl throws your way, and I'm gonna need you to come right back at her. And y'all need to stop holding. They be treating her with kid gloves. And if ERIKA was on any other franchise, particularly a Jersey or a Potomac or an Atlanta, these girls would eat her up, okay? They would eat her up. But because it's Beverly Hills, and listen, again, I understand. I've lived in LA. I understand what it's like out there. LA in general, especially in the entertainment industry, and I'm not going to speak for all of LA because it's not like this in all of LA, but when you work in the microcosm of sort of like the Beverly Hills and the entertainment industry, people really aren't direct with their insults towards you. They will talk around you and they will talk about you around you, but they will never say stuff to your face. So if you come in and you're the type of personality that is in your face and you're going to tell people how they feel, it's frowned upon there. And I'm trying to tell you, this was my experience there. So I'm coming from DC and I'm looking like, well, why are people being phony? Like, why y'all not saying how y'all feel right now? Like, why nobody doing that? And everybody's looking at me like I'm an aggressive person. And I know I ain't that aggressive. So for me, I'm just like, this is some crazy stuff. So as I watch these women and these interactions play out, yes, everybody talks around each other, and everybody has to put on this whole little front of being so, passive and, ooh, oh my God. But at the end of the day, they're not really saying how they feel in general. None of them. Okay. Anyway, Sutton states to Kyle that they are all afraid of ERIKA Jane, and she spoke nothing but the truth. They are basically, again, like I said, using Sutton to say all the things that they really want to say, and they're using her to do it. And I'm going to prove it to you in just 1 second. So PK and Dorit have a date night. Now, the details of the date night are completely irrelevant at this point because I don't care about that date night. What I do care about is what PK had to say about ERIKA Jane. Okay. And here is what he stated, and I'm not going to even sugarcoat it. He said, you know what? The problem with ERIKA is that the things that she's doing online are not a good look for someone in her position. She is facing, all of these types of accusations, allegations, and potential lawsuits. And she's running around here on social media, acting all, trying to be a bad B. You know what I'm saying? Booty tooted up and all kinds of poses and stuff like that. And even I understand that she might have been working for, the Fenty brand or Savage by Fenty or whatever, but you see that ain't happening no more. But anyway, she was doing all this posting and things like that. But in my mind, I was like, if I was any type of crisis manager, because I did used to work in PR, I would have told her a long time ago, girl, I'm gonna need you to, this brand campaign is gonna have to end for a minute, because what we need to do is we need to present the public a very apologetic, a very humble persona, and I need you to change this brand immediately, because what it does is it sends a message to creditors, to the people who are coming after her for her funds, that she does not care. And again, like PK said, she is scratching their noses, okay? And she is acting and is sending a message that she just don't give an F, okay? That's the message that it's sending. And I understand that the girl got to work and stuff like that. But when you are facing this amount of legal troubles, and listen, PK no, okay? PK no, PK no, PK no, PK show enough no. But if you're facing these types of issues and stuff like that, it would be best to put on a face of humility. And that is exactly what she is lacking on social media during this whole escapade, and even now. And to be quite honest with you, it's gotten nothing but worse. It's gotten worse. Okay. As evidenced by the thing that I showed you guys earlier. So I guess because the ladies tend to get those episodes earlier, she happened to get the episode, and then she posted this, and I pulled it up earlier. And it was this thing from The Wizard of Oz. It talks about how, I don't know, but some people without brains do an awful lot of talking, don't they? But at the end of the day, PK was speaking nothing but facts. Bottom line. Bottom doggone line. He was speaking nothing but facts. Now, the night of Garcelle's Haitian dinner, right? So basically, you know, Garcelle is from Haiti. So she's having a little Haitian dinner to welcome the ladies into her home and sort of bring them into, you know, her culture and more of who she is. Let me just state this. I know half them girls was not interested in eating the Haitian food. And you just felt it. I just felt the energy. To me, it just kind of gave, ooh, we gonna show up, but we don't know what this is. That's what I felt like. Lisa Rinna talking about, ooh, girl, I don't eat the fish. I ain't never heard that before. I ain't ever heard that before in the 6-7 seasons that she been on this show talking about I don't eat the fish, girl. Okay. It just was giving fake vibes to me, and I don't even like to say that. I personally love Haitian food. I mean, you can give it to me, except for them pick leaves. I ain't trying no more pick leaves because they will burn your esophagus right on off. Okay. I would say in my mind, I did feel like Crystal enjoyed the food because I felt like she was ready. I mean, Crystal came to eat. Okay. Crystal was ready to eat. She came hungry. She understood the assignment, and she said, I'm getting fed tonight. Okay. And I believe that Sutton was probably a little bit more on the genuine side as well. But I just got the sense from some of those other girls that they were like just kind of there to be polite. And ERIKA Jane, to be quite honest with you, she was on her phone most of the time the entire night scrolling through the New York Times because she was not trying to speak to Sutton at all. So that was obvious right there from the get-go that the two of them were not going to be speaking this entire night, which was probably for the best because I couldn't take another altercation between the two of them. All right. Because Sutton would have just been running off one more time. So Sutton, because here's the thing. Kyle brings up that Sutton claimed that they weren't real friends at the jewelry store from the other day. And here I go thinking, Kyle, there you go, stirring up the juice once again to throw Sutton under the bus, to bring up this whole ERIKA Jane conversation all over again. And thankfully, that whole thing got shut down. Okay. Now, mind you, I'm just going to point this out because it's going to be apparent in the next episode, and this is going to be an issue in the next episode. But there is still some lingering tension between Dorit and Garcelle. So just keep that in mind, that their little beef ain't over, okay? So after dinner, for some reason, they get to talking about whose outfits they like. Garcelle mentions that she likes Kyle's Gucci pants that she wore a couple of weeks ago. Now, of course, Kyle cannot remember when she wore those pants. She wore them the night that Sutton had called them over for a meeting that ERIKA was not invited to. So now they got to talk about this meeting that ERIKA wasn't invited to all over again in front of ERIKA, and it's already awkward, okay? So at this point, ERIKA, Lisa Rinna, they're like, okay, girls, we got to go. I've done enough. I've spent enough time and energy here. We about to leave, okay? So Dorit leaves with them, and Dorit could not be happier. So at that point, it's just really Garcelle and Crystal and Sutton and Kyle left. And so they get into this discussion about whether or not, because Kyle, who is an old school and OG housewife, is so used to the formula that when there's an issue, you have to resolve it on camera, right? So she is looking for Sutton and ERIKA to resolve their issues. Sutton feels like, well, Kyle says that ERIKA feels like Sutton owes her an apology. Sutton feels like the only people who deserve an apology in this situation are the victims. Okay. And I would agree. And she said, if the victims get an apology, then I would worry about myself getting an apology. And I really like that she said that, because ultimately, in all of this, there do hang lives in the balance. And as PK said, this money that's owed to these victims could be life-changing for them. And the fact of the matter is, they're still not able to obtain the funds that are so rightly due to them for the tragedies that they've had to experience. The money will not make up for the tragedies, but it will help them, hopefully, potentially with maybe medical expenses, paying creditors, or at least hopefully paying the bills, or even elevating their lifestyle in just a way that makes them a bit more comfortable after having experienced such tragedies. Okay. So Crystal says basically this, and Crystal don't like Sutton at all, so I'm sure she's team ERIKA all the way. But Crystal says, y'all ain't gonna ever be friends. Just be cordial and keep it moving. And to be quite honest with you, I get it. Crystal's a new girl on the block, so she don't really understand, to me, how housewives works. And so she doesn't really get that within a small group like this, it can become very uncomfortable if an issue is not resolved. And that is the goal of a television show, is to resolve every issue. Crystal lives in the real world, okay? Where in the real world, when we don't like somebody, we don't got to talk to them, okay? We don't have to talk to them at all ever again, okay? They can barely exist to us. You could be in the same room with somebody and act like they're not even there. But then Kyle says that, she had just wanted, Sutton to say something in the moment, because that's what they do in this group. And Garcelle is like, well, that ain't what you did to me last year. Last year, you waited 6 months to tell me that I owed some money to the charity, when you could have just called me up and you could have said it right in the moment, versus waiting until the reunion. And even now, listen, Garcelle was correct. Okay. She was correct. But in my mind, I was thinking, whoa, Nelly, hold on now. Can we just deal with the one issue? I can't take no more issues popping up tonight. Okay. I really can't take it. I said, in my mind, I was like, wrong road, Garcelle, wrong road. But she was right, though. Okay. She was right. I just didn't want to deal with it. Okay. And neither did Kyle. She didn't want to deal with it either, because she felt like Garcelle was going backwards. So clearly, it's going to be more tension between the two of them as well. What I like about this season in particular is that you have the Garcelles and the Suttons who are right. You have the Garcelles and the Suttons who are really chiming in to hold people accountable, and they are not letting some of these other women get away with controlling the narrative that they've usually been able to control. And the other thing is that here's the thing that my biggest issue with Lisa Rinna. To me, Lisa Rinna has a big issue as a villain on this show, because she worked so hard to out Lisa Vanderpump as the villain behind the scenes, that Lisa Rinna has become the villain that she has always perceived Lisa Vanderpump to be. Okay? She has become the villain that she has always perceived Lisa Vanderpump to be. I believe that Kyle and Lisa Rinna are often self-producing to create extra drama, but it's been making for a very good season. Yeah. And when Eileen was on Watch What Happens Live, she even stated that, she says she loves and enjoys Garcelle. She feels like this is a very balanced cast. I think that they could use somebody like a Camille on here to really get these girls together, but that is what it is. Yeah, I mean, so we had somebody has sent a message with a link to an article. I can't, for some reason, I'm trying to copy the link, but it says ERIKA Jane has 9 days to voluntarily pay back $25 million. I got to get into that one. Thank you for posting that. I will say that this has been one of the best seasons ever. I agree. 100%. I agree with you, Renee. I feel who says I feel that Garcelle can go a tad bit harder with the ladies owning up to their mess, and she could have had Sutton's back a bit more. Sutton was being genuine to offer ERIKA Jane financial support. I 100% agree with you on this. 100%. Yeah, I agree. Rook King says, so the question is, did not like LVP because she was better at self-producing. Catch that. Boom. Lisa Rinna, so Lisa Vanderpump, if she was self-producing, we didn't really know it, okay? But with Lisa Rinna, it's so blatant. That's the issue. Kiki, thank you so much for the super chat. So Camille was on Watch What Happens Live last night with Eileen Davidson. So you guys can go back and watch What Happens Live from last night. If you guys have Hulu or if you have YouTube, you can see the clips there. You can also go to BravoTV.com and watch it as well. It was really good. I'm sorry, Bree. Are you in the texting community? I think I sent out the text before we went live. Listen, I've been waiting for Nicolette Sheridan to come on. I've just been so waiting for that. But they probably won't do that while Lisa Rinna is still on there because I don't think she would do the show. Yes, Catherine Edwards, who joined when ERIKA Jane first joined, had a lot of things to say about ERIKA Jane, and just she went in on the Behind the Velvet Rope with David Yontef. Yes, ma'am. Get on those texts. Why isn't Lisa Rinna doing the after show on Bravo? So, Elizabeth, what I think is this. I think that Lisa Rinna did not. I think that Lisa Rinna, Amber Smoke, I saw your message. Lisa Rinna, well, I believe, first of all, that ERIKA Jane couldn't do the after show because she has to be careful about how she answers and responds to questions. And I also think that they probably wanted to hold off everything that she had to say until the reunion. And I believe that Lisa is probably not doing the after show in solidarity with ERIKA Jane, because she is the one that definitely has ERIKA Jane's back. Brooke King says, because LVP never set up people for doing wrong, she was always good at exposing, but Kyle and Lisa Rinna are doing the same thing. They are doing a weak version of LVP without her class. Yep. It's going to be interesting, y'all. Remember, like I said, the reunion does film tomorrow. If we get any tea on that, then I'll let you guys know. Somebody asked me earlier why I was dressed like it was my first day of school. I had done Good Day DC earlier today. So that's why I'm still in the same clothes. I just didn't change my clothes. I just threw on my hat. I think that's it. Miss Borton says, Garcelle playing too safe. Just lean a little, sis. We got you. We want you to check ERIKA at least just once. Okay. Boom. Right. I know. I like this little vest I picked up from Kaz. It's cute, right? It's nice. I thought it was nice. But yeah, it was like first day of school. I was like, come on now. The texting community. Okay, so the number right here that you guys see is a texting community. If you send me a text to this number, it'll add you to my texting community. And that way I send you a text message every time a new video comes out, whether it's live or it's a pre-record. So you will get that notification. I try not to, send out too many crazy. I mean, like, I don't send out a lot of other like text messages. I just let you guys know when a new video is coming out. That's it for this video, y'all. This is my first time reviewing Beverly Hills. It's been a very long day for me. I am going to go try to get some lunch now. Thank you, Philly Diva. I appreciate you. Thank you guys for tuning in for this. I will do another one next week. Me and Up and Adam, we will be doing Salt Lake City. I think we're going to do it on Mondays at 2 p.m. I was going to do it anyway, but he had, reminded me that we were going to be doing it together. And I'm so just thankful that he's able to make some time because I know that he's busy too. So we're going to be back with our Salt Lake City reviews starting on Monday. So y'all got to tune in for that. Adam's my boy. I love everything that he does. And he's such a class act. So that's going to be fun. With that being said, y'all, if you didn't know, I'm telling you now, I love you. Tell somebody else that you love them too. Enjoy this Thursday, and we will catch you guys in the next video.